Damnatio Memoriae is a modern Latin phrase meaning condemnation of memory, indicating that a person is to be excluded from official accounts. Depending on the extent, it can be a case of historical negationism. There are many options to conducting Damnatio Memoriae, including the destruction of depictions, the removal of names from inscriptions, and even large-scale rewritings of history. Historical negationism is falsification or distortion of historical record. Usually the purpose of historical negation is to achieve national political aim, by transferring war guilt, demonizing an enemy, providing an illusion of victory, or preserving a friendship. The principal functions of negationist history are the abilities to control ideological and political influences. History is a social resource that contributes to shaping national identity, culture, and public memory. Through the study of history, people are imbued with a particular cultural identity. Therefore, by negatively revising history, the negationist can craft a specific ideological identity. The revised history is used to negate the validity of factual records, and so reframe explanations and perceptions of the discussed historical event to deceive the individual. Therefore, historical negationism functions as a technique of propaganda. A prime example of Damnatio Memoriae would be the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten. Akhenaten's sole worship of the god Aten, instead of the traditional pantheon, was considered heretical, giving him the nickname of the heretic king. After his reign, temples to Aten were dismantled, and the stones were used to create other temples. The campaign of Damnatio Memoriae was initiated by a later successor to the throne who decided to erase from history all unpopular past rulers. In ancient Rome, the practice of Damnatio Memoriae was the condemnation of emperors after death. If the Senate or a late emperor did not like the acts of a previous emperor, they could have his property seized, his name erased, and his statues defaced. Although this vandalism ironically makes martyrs of the dishonored, thus ensuring they will be remembered for all time. A completely successful Damnatio Memoriae results, by definition, in the full and total erasure of the subject from historical record. In the case of figures such as emperors or consuls, it's unlikely that success was ever possible, like the cover-up with Emperor Geta, as he was on the currency, which proved difficult to remove from circulation for many years, even though the mere mention of his name was punishable by death. The practice of replacing pagan beliefs and motifs with Christian, and purposely not recording the pagan history, has been compared to Damnatio Memoriae as well. Within Elden Ring, item descriptions do not have specific authors. At times, the narrator is even unreliable due to their bias. For example, spells relating to the flame god contain negative association, while holy spells contain positive association. We know that the Golden Order once had the ambition to conquer the lands between, destroying old beliefs as they ushered in their own. Ideals outside of the Golden Order's purview were heretical and seen as dangerous, especially those that refuted the core belief of returning to the Erd Tree roots upon death, such as those who live in death. Godwyn the Golden was seemingly loved by all, as he saved Leyndell from a conflict with dragons by befriending Fortisax. Godwyn is also the Prince of the Kingdom, as his mother is a sovereign head of state. Being both the Prince of the Kingdom and a war hero, he was given a proper burial within the Erd Tree's roots. It would be fair to say that Godwyn was an influential figure within the past of the lands between, yet there are no statues or paintings created to honor him. Why? I've seen some mention that this statue could be Godwyn, as it is seen throughout Leyndell and found within the Ares' hero's grave, Godwyn's tomb. However, this same statue is seen in the Shaded Castle without a spear. House Marius used to command the castle, their lineage born with an illness, similarly to how Melania was born with the Scarlet Rot. This connection of illness made the leader of the house, Mele Marius, become infatuated with Melania. Therefore, it is possibly Melania, or just a random statue. Even if it was Godwyn's statue, it's left ambiguous due to the fact that there's no inscriptions for context. Did the Golden Order execute a campaign of Damnatio Memoriae to eliminate all memory of Godwyn? Not only was Godwyn's death a catalyst in the Shattering, and the first death of a demigod, it was also a great embarrassment for the Golden Order. Queen Marika's divine son Godwyn was slain. Even worse, his corpse grew deathroot, which goes against everything the Golden Order stands for. To be reborn, one requires grace given from the Erd Tree, aka the Greater Will. Godwyn's death promotes alternative methods of becoming reborn through death without the aid of grace. Concepts that threaten to shatter the Order entirely, such as life and death, are labeled as heresy and are violently persecuted by the Golden Order. Among the Golden Order fundamentalists are the hunters of those who live in death, who consider the undead as an absolute evil. Godwyn's murder transformed him into the Prince of Death, due to his soul being taken away during the Night of the Black Knives, which denied him a true death. Due to Godwyn being able to live within death, the Golden Order condemned any memory of him. Images of him seem to be non-existent or have been destroyed. Although the goal of performing the campaign of Damnatio Memoriae against Godwyn was to wipe out his memory in the mind of the public, it was unsuccessful. Mirroring real-world example as I mentioned earlier, Godwyn's influence through the founding of the Dragon Cult and those who live within death made it impossible to suppress his existence. Even his name still appears engraved on the golden epitaph sword found inside of his tomb. History is written by victors, and that's exactly the purpose of Damnatio Memoriae, an act to control past memories in order to alter the future. Ambrose Bierce once said that history is an account, mostly false, of events, mostly unimportant, which are brought about by rulers, mostly knaves, and soldiers, mostly fools. Thank you so much for your time today, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful week.